All right. That's a little bit better. Now you can see me. All right, great. Well, in today's live stream, let's see here. Nothing in the chat, which kind of didn't expect. This is only like my third live stream ever. So today I kind of stopped and did a little bit of a video. Um, I can't say enough about this. This is a remarkable tablet. I am not sponsored by Remarkable, but I just love this thing. I've been carrying it with me, and I can keep all my notes in it, and it is takes your handwriting, and it'll basically take it to whatever you want. Text, anyways, keeps all my ideas together. Anyways, with this live stream, there's a lot of things I want to cover. Let's start with the news of what's happening today on January 23rd, 2025. There is not a shortage of news articles about Donald Trump out there, which I'm going to get into. But really, I really wanted to start with this news right here. This catches my attention more than anything. This is in Yahoo News, and it says teen fatally shoots a female student and himself in Nashville, Tennessee. To me, that is just unacceptable and insane that the number of school shootings that we have. I have two young children. Both of them are in school, and I just can't imagine what the fear for families out there can be like. It's unbelievable. Evidently, this was a 17-year-old student. He shot and killed himself with a handgun. And I'm a gun advocate. I have guns. I got plenty of them. And I just can't believe this. Anyways, this kid went into school. He confronted this student here in the cafeteria, and he opened fire on her. Unbelievable. Last year, uh, my wife, she works in public or government education, whatever you want to call it. And last year there was 84 school shootings, which was the most ever on record. And I just think that there's a major problem there, and a lot of people have different opinions on what those problems are. My feeling is that it's a combination of the family unit and lack of family unit, of course, social media or non-social media, the feeling of non-inclusion. Just there's all kinds of different factors. There's not just one, but this is something that we really need to get a better hold on. A lot of times, I look at it and is this something to do with our diet? Is this something to do with, you know, I talk a lot to my wife about kids, and, we're very active parents. We work together as a team. And quite frankly, my kids are lucky. They have two great parents. We care about them. We don't give them everything. We make them work hard. We demand things out of them, but we treat them very lovingly. And they have their grandparents in their life, and it's just a great way. They always say that it takes a village in order to raise a kid, and whether that is my wife worked in behavioral special ed, and the stories that she would tell me about kids and why they joined gangs and why they were a part of different things, you just find out that they're just kids. You look at the food in which they eat. Is their brain on fires? I mean, you look at all of the oh boy, the autism and behavior issues. Is it because of the processed sugar and the carbohydrates? I'm a carnivore, so I'm kind of biased anyways. I know that by going on a carnivore diet, I am calmer and just feel more at ease and have clearer thoughts. Uh, is it diet related? Whatever it might be, I'm not sure. But anyways, I just think that it's a terrible, terrible, terrible thing that happened yesterday down in Nashville. So all my thoughts and prayers go out to those families. Boy, Trump. Switching gears here. He's been at it. He fires the head of the TSA, Coast Guard, cuts key aviation safety advisory committee. Um, boys on a tear, I'll tell you that. Uh, you know, he definitely is making some waves, and some are good, some are bad. I was telling my wife, I go back to something that Joe Montana said. I'm a sports fan. I love sports. Joe Montana said that if he played 18 games a year, six of the games he probably would win because of his play. Six of the games that he was in, he would probably end up losing the game because of mistakes that he made, interceptions that he was thrown, whatever it might be. And six of the games, it didn't matter. So 33% of the time, he was a difference maker. Now, one thing about the commander in chief here, he's trying to raise that percentage of being a difference maker because he's definitely out there making some waves, firing some people, people quitting before he even gets elected. I mean, I look at Canada and Trudeau with the threat of the tariffs. Was that why he? I'm sure there's a lot more to it, but it's just wild what's happening there. Uh, and along with that, let's look at here. What else? Oh, Trump. Now, this is in the investing side of it. He's talking about the AI. He'll approve power plants for AI through emergency declaration. Now, this is something I've been looking at for a long time because I'm not a NVIDIA fan or a chip maker fan. It's just kind of not what I see as the play with AI and how that role is. To me, I look at it as energy. And is that going to be uh, nuclear? Is it going to be coal? Is it going? But the bottom line is the we have moved into what we call the digital, age. In that digital age, it consumes a tremendous amount of power, whether you like it or not. Uh, for example, just look at your bill that you get every month that comes for your electricity, and look how much that's going up and the demand put on that. Um, uh, so this is very interesting because I've been following this for a very long time, and I think one of the big plays in AI is going to be through power generation and the need for power generation. So it's interesting that here this morning, um, you know, President Donald Trump said he will expedite the construction of power plants for artificial intelligence through an emergency declaration. Very interesting. Something on the investing side that need to continue. I know locally here on the East Coast, Dominion Power in Virginia has had applications just because of the data centers located just south of DC. So it's going to be interesting to see where that unfolds. I'll keep up on that one. Let's see what else here we have. Here's a good one. Retail store closures hit the highest level since pandemic. See who is shutting down the most locations. This is very interesting. It says they're expected to rise store closings by 15,000 this year. It says the striking numbers reflect the stark divide between retailers that are gaining market share. So, who would you think was gaining market share? Walmart and Costco. Imagine that. And those that have lost ground or filed for bankruptcy, Big Lots and Container Store. It's interesting about Big Lots because we have a Big Lots not too far from us, and it announced that I was closing down. And a lot of people, talk about value stores like Dollar General, Big Lots, and things like that. What's interesting about Big Lots is that being a lower priced, there's lots of, they actually call lots of goods they buy at reduced rates and then sell them in their store. That appeals to a consumer who is price sensitive. So when inflation hits, who is the first person that gets hit? It's that price sensitive consumer. So it's no surprise that they're some of the first ones going out. Um, let's see here. Who are some of the other big ones? Party City again, and Macy's. Uh, it says that Party City and Macy's closed 7,325 stores in 24. Um, it's amazing. There's not brick and mortar. You got to have a really good business plan to have the real estate with brick and mortar in there. Um, so the 5 retailers that have announced the most closures this year are going to be Party City, Big Lots, Walgreens, 7-Eleven, and Macy's. Very interesting. So again, we'll see where that all heads. Going forward, it looks like good old Costco and Walmart keep on trugging along, going forward. U.S. retailers that announced the most closures: Family Dollar, number one, 718. CVS, Big Lots, again, 25. Big Lots, Party City, Walgreens, 7-Eleven, and Macy's. So pretty interesting facts there. Stock market. President Donald Trump says he'll demand that interest rates drop immediately. Man, he just wants him and Jerome are just not going to get along. I can see this. He's going to be after old Jerome's job here pretty quickly. Here's the bottom line is Trump can demand that interest rates go wherever he thinks he wants them to go. But the bottom line is that he doesn't control the interest rates. The only thing the Federal Reserve controls is they control, what the overnight lending rate is. And that, when today Trump's saying that he demands the interest rates to drop, it hasn't done anything for interest rates other than make them go up. And I don't necessarily say that it's him saying it, and you don't know how much it is just putting words out there. So yeah, we'll see where that all goes. I've gone into deep dives about interest rates, how they work, and different things, but it's going to be interesting. So that's that. The next one is what else does old Mr. Trump want? Yeah, it's everywhere. Everywhere I look, Trump demands interest rate drops immediately. All right, there. All righty then. Let me get to. I have one other thing. Oh, wildfires. Near Los Angeles explodes to 9,400 acres, forcing evacuations. Man, this is a topic on this. This is a new wildfire that broke out north of Los Angeles on Wednesday, rapidly spreading more than 9,400 acres, just 38 square kilometers, filled by strong winds and dry brush, forcing mandatory evacuation orders for more than 31,000 people. The Hughes Fire, about 50 miles north of LA, sent huge flames and plumes of smoke over a hilly area. I tell you what, they just can't get any breaks there. You look at that story and you look at how just one thing leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. And basically, not to be cryptic about it, is the from the reservoir being drained to not taking care of practices to manage potential outbreaks of fires. It's just amazing what can happen in just a spark. And some of the people that are involved with this is just I don't know, lack of management. Anyways, all right. Here's another one. Fast moving Sepulveda fire prompts evacuation warnings. This is off the 405 freeway. So this is another one. This is much closer to the LA than the other one. So it is, again, I-405. It's right there. Another fire. Boy. And of course the Hughes fire. So, all right. Getting back to what I wanted to talk about in this live stream. So, 2025 has been on my mind, and I made a video today, basically going over what I think is, and I'm changing up how I do things a little bit more. So basically, what I'm going to do going forward is I'm going to try to do a live stream once a week, and you know, get some uh, feedback and chat and whatever going. But really, is I'm starting off 2025 as if I'm talking directly to you about how to get started. And in this one here, it's developing a strategy for 2025, and how do you develop that strategy and what that looks like. Again, I'm going to drop a video later on about that. So I've identified 8 steps here on how to do that. The first one, I say, look, listen, and take notes. And basically, what I mean by that is you want to survey the landscape geopolitically and economically, and not just locally, but globally to what that is, what's happening. And more specifically, what I'm talking about is in step one is if we sit back and look at and listen since Monday in the inauguration, what has flipped with the just new president. And what I mean by that is uh, before I believe that we were in a global conflict or world war three, as you might say it, and it's more of like a proxy war. And what that proxy war is where China, Russia, and the United States are using other countries to basically have turf wars, you might say it, for their own interest. And you could say that the way things are being played out in Ukraine is that. Again, you got to look at all the different sides of it. But more importantly, that's all changing. And what's changing about it is I think that's going to continue with the proxy wars that they're doing. But I think the focus on what Trump is doing that Biden is looking at differently is, of course, Trump is changing all kinds of stuff, but is when you listen to what he has said in his first few days of the presidency is he's talked about what's happening north of the United States on Greenland. He's talked about Canada. He's talked about, of course, the Gulf of America, Gulf of Mexico, renaming that, which says a lot right in itself. Uh, how he's going to deal with cartels and make them terrorist organizations. He's talked about the Panama Canal and trade. And certainly, I think on his mind is more of a north-south approach in North and South America versus an east-west approach looking around the world. So something that I'm looking at forward thinking in 25 is if that is the case and if that's what's happening, how can I position myself or watch what's going on to possibly make some asymmetric bets? And we'll talk about asymmetric bets in just a minute. Part of that is looking at what are the goals of taking over Greenland. Well, of course, he doesn't want China to have it. As the ice cap melts, that ocean gets a lot larger, and there's a lot of minerals there. And a lot of these proxy wars have to do with natural, resources, populations. In China, just this week, it was the first time that, and it's happened 7 years faster than even they predicted it, that their population decline is a little bit more rapid than they thought it was going to be. The U.S. isn't nearly as fast as what is happening in China because the U.S. has used immigration basically to keep its demographics up. So countries really want higher demographic numbers, and of course it all comes down to money. Everything I always say, you follow the money, follow where the money is, and that will tell you a lot of what motivations are going behind things. Of course, with that different mindset, again, following that, look, listen, and take notes, surveying geopolitically what's happening there, economically, globally, what's happening. You look at China, what's happening in China is the fact that their bond market is telling you a lot of the health of what's happening inside of China. Their bonds are basically imploding. Uh, the yields on the bonds have just yeah, it's not good. China with their real estate, you got to realize in countries like China, they don't trade stocks in investments like we do. They invest their money in real estate. They built complete cities that there's no one there. I mean, complete cities, and there's no one there. A lot of people in China own multiple houses, two, three, four houses. That's where all their wealth is. Well, their wealth is evaporating because of these the real estate market crashing. I think there was two or three um, uh, the big real estate developers in China that are missing bond payments. So not good. Number two, focus in the areas of interest, areas that stand out as possible opportunities. And that's really important when you're developing your strategy. My interests are around not only making money, but I like construction. I like real estate. I like hard, tangible things. I like gold. I like silver. I like copper. I like commodities. I like uh, looking at the building industry. I look at the commercial market, the residential market. Um, it's an interest to me. I look at home builders. I look at suppliers. I look at the resources. I look at other things too. Some people are car guys, car people, but whatever that interest you are, take that interest in whatever it might be and focus it. It could be retail. It could be, it could be a host of things. I mean, there's so much stuff out there. So, focus on an area of interest and um, number three, research areas of interest. So whatever interest that you might have, research those areas of interest and opportunities. Uh, Use reliable sources, and then also challenge those resources of where you're getting information from. Are they reliable, fundamental? And that goes even broader. In on that number three, the research side of it is when you're investing. I believe that you use multiple areas. Part of that is in fundamentally looking at a stock and also technically looking at a stock. And that's two different things. A lot of people think that the economy is the market and the market is the economy. It's not. They're two separate things. Do not get where you are believing that you have a feeling of one or the other. Separate the two. The stock market or the bond market is separate from what's happening in the economy. The economy can be tanking. I mean, you go back and you look at history. In history, I don't say that history repeats, but I do say that it rhymes. So you look at when presidents have been assassinated, the stock market went up. You can look at the Great Depression. Right after that, what happened to certain stocks. There's always opportunities, and don't let FOMO get in your way, fear of missing out. Uh, Again, focus in on something that interests you, learn it, become an expert. Uh, it's just the best way of really going better for your investing style. Um, Number four, form your own opinion. I think this is so important. Um, and the reason why I say form your own opinion is because a lot of people want to influence you. They want to, they talk about I'm an influencer or I'm a content creator or whatever. I want to be a resource for you to really grasp some strategy and become better. at making money, identifying things, looking at things a different way, maybe living a little bit better uh, through diet, um, just because of successes that I may have had. But you know, you need to form your own opinions and recognize patterns. Uh, so when I talk about fundamental analysis on an investment or technical analysis, is things often in, like I said, with history, they rhyme. They have similar things. You can do that with almost anything. I always say, another one of my sayings is that there's no certainties, but there are all probabilities of different things happening. So look at those probabilities of what may be happening, and by looking at it in this view lens, probabilities mean that there's a ton of different possible outcomes that could possibly happen. I often think about all of them, and then I look at them and I say, what is the most probable thing happening? If that doesn't happen, what then may happen? And I look at as many probabilities that I can think that may happen, and I look at what's the upside to it and what's the downside to it. And this is where I get into the symmetry or the asymmetric trading part of it is, if I can understand the possible probabilities of what may happen, I might not see all of them, but if I see a lot of them, and the upside is far greater than the downside, then I'm going to take that trade or bet or risk or whatever it might be. And it's not just about making money or an investment, but there's many things in life you can use that same type of methodology going forward. So you know, try to, in number four, is remove the emotional side of it. And this leads me to number five. Number five, the emotional side of anything in 2025 when you're investing is remove that emotional part and element to whatever you're doing to try to make money. Because um, a lot of people will form an opinion about something and we'll ask them, well, what's that based upon? Well, that's what I feel. Well, feeling is an emotion. What is the facts behind that? Well, I don't know. It's just what I believe. That's what I see. Well, you got to look at the bigger picture and understand the whole thing, the whole everything, and not get emotionally. Because a lot of times when we get emotionally involved, we get feelings or opinions about things that just aren't necessarily true. So we want to limit that as much as possible. Is don't get emotional when picking um, investments. Along with that is on the emotion side of it. On number five is multiple perspectives. Not only your perspectives, but the other perspectives in that as well. Look at it through the eyes of a company if you're looking to invest it. Look at it through the eyes of someone who else might be involved with it, whether it's a supplier, whether it's a um, engineer, whether it is another person that's investing it. Look at multiple perspectives in that as well. Um, And then again, you got to analyze. Once you remove those emotions, you look at the probabilities. You got to analyze. So there's a lot of brain work that goes into being successful. Not just only in investments, but in uh, everything that you do in life. Number six, uh, implementation. Implement once you have formed your opinions that are your own, that you've pulled in information, you remove the emotions, you have looked at it from different angles, you have different perspectives, you've basically analyzed, you've researched it, there's something that interests you, you've become basically an expert. Now, again, this could be anything from silver, gold, a stock, a bond, Pokemon card, a trading card, collectibles. I mean, one of the hottest things that people were making money on was off of art in 2023 and 24. There's many things. It doesn't have to be one thing. It's there's many ways to make money and make good investments and make good decisions based upon that. So when you implement your strategy, is you want to come up with a timeline, and you want that timeline to be reasonable. And once you start implementing your plan, now your plan could be as simple as, I'm going to invest $100 a week or $100 a month over the next 12 months, whatever it might be. That is taking steps. And the reason why I use 12 months or 1 month or whatever it was, we're creating a timeline. Once you have that timeline established, then what you want to do is decide what happens with inside that timeline. If I'm going to start investing, and let's say we're going to make money, it's going to be a $100 per month. How is that $100 going to be divvied up? Am I going to take all of it and put it in one location? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to split that up, and I'm going to put it in different areas. It may be, uh, one of the most common ways that financial advisors do it, which I do not recommend. I'm not a fan of it. Is 60/40, um, the methodology, or into mutual funds, which I do not agree with unless you're using them for something else. And I'll go much deeper into that. I'm not a big fan of that. Um, but is they in that within that timeline, you have defined what's going to happen. And as you do that, and as the time goes on, as you implement that strategy, you want to keep evaluating as you're going. And you're going to learn as you go through that timeline what happens. For example, one great way to start out is, let's say you're going to take $100 a week, and you're going to start investing with it. Well, a portion of that can automatically go to buying, Bitcoin. It could go to be buying gold or silver. It can be going into a money market. It could be going into a stock. It could be going into a bond. You could break it all out to where just incremental parts, all of it, go and balance itself out. I believe in what are called non-correlated assets that try not to correlate too closely to one another. Because most people, when I worked in investing, they were way too diversified. They held way too many things. And you take someone like Warren Buffett, who, you know, you look at a portfolio of someone in billions of dollars, and you look at the plays that they make in the companies in which they invest, they're not that highly diversified. Um, Now, I believe in being diversified in many different asset types. A lot of people own stocks or they own bonds, and it's the same thing. It's a stock is in a stock market, a bond is in a bond market, and they're very heavily correlated to each other. If you're going to get wiped out in one, you're going to get wiped out in another one. So, you try not to do that. So, um, we can talk more about that going forward. So you implement your strategy, you have a timeline, and you're always reevaluating what that timeline looks like. Uh, Number seven is you pick your entrance points and your exit points before you even get involved with it. And what I mean by that is, don't just willy nilly go out there and start investing, whether it's a stock or anything else. Look at it. Look at it fundamentally. Look at it economically. Look at it geopolitically. If you were emotionally attached to windmill farms off the east coast of the United States, and you thought that was the best thing since sliced bread, well, you had a rude awakening because Trump came in and basically pulled the rug out from underneath of you, because that's not going to be happening the way that a lot of people thought that was going to go down. Uh, I think now that if you have a pipeline, maybe going from up north to down south, or you have some fracking to do, that that might be a little bit better play right now than what that windmill might have been. So you always have to look geopolitically at what might happen. You also got to look on politically what might happen. So you always have to be reevaluating. And again, don't just get emotionally attached to things. So you pick your entrance points and your exit points. One of the big thing is when you pick an entrance point is I like looking at what the technicals are telling me. I don't ever want to pick an entrance point into something where I'm at the top. It's just not what it's not just a smart way. I mean, to make money, whether it is in stocks, bonds, anything, whether you're just trying to make money, is the whole objective is you buy low and sell high, or you borrow high and sell low and you make the difference on it, and that's called shorting. So uh, which it might be, but when you buy high and sell low, that is definitely a way that you lose money, and you don't. That's not just it's just something that you just don't want to do. So you pick your entrance point, you pick your exit points. One of the things I've always said is before getting involved with a business, a stock, or anything like that, you want to know how you're going to get out of it, when you're going to get out of it, what changes that may happen. One of the big things that a really good hedge fund manager or investor does is they limit their downside risk. And what they do by limiting the downside risk is they try not to have big losers. And I know when I was managing money, one of the big things that I always tried to do was whatever the market was doing, I always tried to outdo the market. And one of the easiest ways to do that was not to have big losers and don't hold on to big losers. If you're losing in something and it's a small lose, it's a small, keep it at a small loss, pivot, go in a different direction. Um, and vice versa. When you have winners, ride that horse in to the point in which you've picked an exit point. And whatever that exit point is, it's okay to sell it and make money. Have a short memory, make money and move on. The best feeling is when you have made some money, you are now sold out of what your investment was. You're playing with what I call house money. And when that tide changes, because it will, because nothing is linear, nothing goes like this. It goes like this for a reason. And that volatility, that up and down movement, gives you opportunities to get in and get out. Uh, I am not a buy and hold type person. People tell me, I've heard it all. Being in the system, it's not. It's not timing the market, it's timing the market. It's about asset allocation. It's about 60-40 portfolios. Not a fan of it. If that's what you want to do, forget it and set it. I'm not the guy for you to be listening to right now. I believe that you have to be active, you have to be involved, you have to be educated, and you need to keep growing as an individual with that. So it's okay to take profits whenever you have them, and avoid those large losses. And number 8, which is by far the one that I focus on every single day, is educate on more strategies, technologies along your journey. Um, you know, take control of your own decisions. Now, one of the things that I love about learning and education is the fact that it can become infectious. It's always really cool every day when I sit down to eat with my children. I ask them, "What did you learn today in school?" And they'll go, "Nothing." I said, "Well, then why are you going to school? I guess it's time for you to get a job." And they always look at me, "Well, Dad, no." Well, no. You should be learning every single day something. Every single day you wake up, you should learn something, and I believe that. So one of the things that I also, when I talk to people about investments and stocks, you know, I could always tell when I had, as a client in the investment world, when I had somebody's full undivided attention, is I would ask them for their income tax return. If they would give me their income tax return, I knew right then and there that they were going to become a client, because that is a piece of information that you don't share. You don't take it to parties. You don't give it to anybody, and you give it to a bank in case you want money. You talk to your accountant about it, but it's just a very personal piece of information. Well, a lot of times I've always said that people will always tell you what you need to know. You just got to ask the right questions. So often I get asked questions about stocks, investing, things like that. And of course, most everybody's mindset is on buying and holding, buying, because that's just what's been the loudest been told, because that is what makes the investment companies the most amount of money. Is they always want to be selling you something, and they always want to be in control, whether they're charging a percent for it. They that's how they make money. That's your business model. So uh, this is a concept that I just recently explained to somebody, and it was about, we were talking about investing, and they said, "Well, I buy this and I buy that." And I said, "Well, is that all you do? Is you buy stuff?" And you go, "Yeah." I go, "You probably have accumulated a lot of stuff over time." And they're like, "Well, yeah, I got a lot of stuff." And I said, "Do you ever look at it?" "No." "Do you know how it's done?" "No." I said, "Okay." Um, I said, "Do you know what shorting is?" And they said, "No, I don't know what shorting is." I said, "Do you own a home?" "Oh, yeah." I said, "Well, okay, so you've shorted before." And "No, I've never done that before." I said, "Well, actually, you have, because everybody that's bought a house has actually shorted before." And they kind of look at you in a strange look and said, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "Well, for example," and I'm going to make this very simple. If you were to borrow a phone from your wife or your friend or whatever, let's say it's a 2015, or it's a 15 iPhone, and you're going to borrow that iPhone, and you're going to make a deal with them that in 2 months' time you're going to give that iPhone back. You're going to take that iPhone. Now it doesn't have any information on it. It's just a plain old iPhone 15. You're going to take it, and you know that iPhone 16 is coming out. Well, you take the iPhone 15, you put it on eBay or somewheres, and you borrowed that phone, so it didn't really cost you anything. Maybe your friend just charging you $5 a month, maybe, probably not, but let's say he is, for the use of the phone. So you take that phone and you sell it for $500. Now you've told them that you're going to replace the phone, but now the iPhone 16 just happened to come out, or you knew it was going to come out, or something may have happened. And now you can go back on eBay and you can buy that iPhone 15 a couple weeks later, a month later, whatever the time period is. And now you can buy that iPhone for $300. Well, what happened to the $200? Are you going to give it to your friend? Probably not. You're probably going to keep it, but you're going to give him his iPhone back to him. You have sold it for 500. You purchased it for 300. You've made $200. That is a completion of a short trade. The same thing happens when you buy a house. When you purchase a house, you go to the bank. You ask for money. When you ask for money, you have an agreement. They're going to loan you this amount of money for a certain period of time. They're going to charge you a certain amount of interest for that time, for that money. You are making the bet that when you purchase that house, that over time, the house is going to become more valuable over time. But what you're actually shorting is actually the dollars in which you borrowed, because you're actually betting that what's going to happen is that the dollar is going to devalue over time, and the dollars that you replace it with at today's time, that dollar may be worth, let's say, 70 cents, but in 30 years that dollar is probably going to be worth 10 cents. So actually what you're doing is you're actually shorting the dollar when you purchase a house. You're hoping that over time that the house is going to become more valuable and you're going to make money. And that's what everybody focuses on. They don't focus on the other side of that trade, to where what the actual trade is the actual currency, or the dollar, or monetary mechanism, and how that plays out. So I hope this helps you. I've talked about a lot of stuff. I'm going to continue putting live streams out there. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you pulled something from it. If you have any questions, reach out. Thank you.